no matter what, how many far out, you know your place, you know how to do it, and to facilitate the production of a color or an activity that is in frequency of a color, you would say, okay, wait, I'm 36 out, so I'm going to need something that has like a gajillions of formulas based on its color alignment, and you're like, yeah, remember every time the 3 that starts, each time it goes out, it's rotating 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So right there, you have that multiplier that's going on, that's going to be added into the final count of the formula baseline count that you're going to need to facilitate whatever you want, your answer, your equation. And that's why, as I was saying earlier about the equation, equal sign, the balance, and the outcome. Sometimes that works that way. And with that, that's why you're using so many formulas in there and tagging them in to say, okay, if I know at the very least I just have these formulas and these multipliers that's saying, all right, if I'm getting to this color saying this, this, and this is my destination, I have 100 degrees, 180 degrees out, or 360 the max to complete whatever, and that makes me have to max out all these formula things. So if I max out each color that I'm tagging in, that's how you know you have enough colors in there, because you're saying, okay, I'm going to tag in violet that is orange, red, and what do you call that? No, orange, green, red, right? So you start with a yellow, okay? So if I'm tagging my red as here, my start is going to be my red, okay? And then here's my green. So I'm going this way, right? And I'm saying I need yellow. I'm going to start with orange. So I got to have a yellow, kabam. Remember the 45-degree angle right there? And an orange, right? Or an orange is a red. So red is a primary. So remember, we're just counting equations with this. So right there, you add that up. How many you have your 1 for your red, and then your orange is 2 right there. So there's 3 right there, starting with that. But the thing is, you have to look at this way, and you got to count how many out there they are, right? So your orange or your yellow is going to be right here. So your yellow is going to be basically your 45, right? Because if you have 360 that way, your green, no, your yellow would be 90. Your yellow would be 90. That's your 45 here. Your 45 here is your 90 here on your 360-degree thing, right? Because your 180, your green, is down here, and that's half, right? So then your yellow would be right there, right? Right there. And half of that is 90. Okay? So right there, you've got 90 out there on just the holding the 3 for that. So that's going that way, okay? Now, you're going to switch up your red and say this is going to be blue, and then you do all those other equations onto it, you know, this way, that way, that way, and then you say yellow, and you do that the same way, all right? And then you're just going to apply a different definition of your thing, remember? Because if you're going to say that, remember, if we're red, our 180 is their green, okay? And that's right here, right? So right now, our orange, because remember, our orange, well, our yellow is right here, okay? Our yellow is halfway, our yellow is 90, right? Our orange is up here. Our orange is at 45. Our orange is 45 out from our red. If we're going this direction, right? So if we're going this direction, our blue is going to be over here. all right, way back over here, you know, which is right here. Because here's green, here's yellow, here's orange, here's red. Bam! Right? This is our blue. Our violet's going to be right there, right? Our violet's going to be the same distance from the edge of our boundary that our orange is from our red. Alright? So there's another mathematical equation right there that we can have and apply and figure out if we apply any color anywhere to any distance, any angle, any of that. Alright? So that's how we get more definitions, more formulas to facilitate our further out of violet. Right? Our violet's right here, right? Bam. Or here's red. This would be our yellow, our green, our blue, and our violet would be right here. So that would mean we would go like this and end up right here. So if I started here and went red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. Violet would be right there. Alright? Right there. Red would be, the completion would be right there. So violet would be right here. So violet would be the same distance away from the edge of our limit and boundary that orange would be away from red, our beginning, in a certain distance or axis or degree or whatever. Okay? And the thing is, we have to have all those little equations and then multiplied by the other equations of saying, okay, that plus we switch our distance of yellow, blue, blue, yellow, back and forth, and then we switch up our measuring of, okay, I'm going to start with yellow. What is the opposite of yellow on the thing, right? Think about it. If you're on the color wheel, and you're now here, and you're saying yellow, what's opposite of yellow? You have green, blue, purple, or violet. Remember violet? So think about that, alright? Now, if we have ultraviolet, and yellow we're using as our primary, we know ultraviolet is our halfway mark. Right? Bam! So booyah, right there. So now we have another application of saying, okay, look at that. I can always use violet right there to say this is where I'm at if I'm on an ultraviolet scale, remember? And I'm saying, hey, this violet is here in this range, this range, this area of this way by this way, you know? Instead of just saying like this way by this way, it could be moved like this, and it could go off of this axis here instead of this axis right here. Okay? So that could give me my limit in my range of my ultraviolet when I apply here to here by saying, okay, my violet will be a half range point. So therefore, my yellow is here. My red is here, right? And if I say these two primaries are this distance to this distance, and I have my my violet here in the center, somewhere, of whatever range of violet is on this candy color spiral, right? So I say here's yellow, all right, and then here's red. I'm just measuring this distance. Wherever they are here, I don't know yet. I haven't applied or figured it out. But I know here's violet. Here's the halfway point of measuring yellow to violet and red to violet, right? And then right here, I'm measuring these as an equal distance of whatever, or not even applying that definition of unit of whatever. I'm not applying that measurement or whatever, or that distance, that whatever. Because right now I don't need to. Because I'm saying here to here is my halfway, here to here is my halfway, and I have these equations that I'm like, okay, I can also do a blue one. right? And then that. And so right there you have those different Kenny color spirals. That could be right here, and right here. So you have this right there can be violet, all right, to this color right here, which we don't even know yet or haven't even applied, because right now we have our Kenny color spirals that we know are fixed right here that are legit. So we put these right here and we grind through whatever, all our different equations to try to find, hey, if we're doing all this and this is our violet right here, where's our halfway point to try to get a yellow, a blue, a red, a primary, right? Where's our halfway point, you know? Or an edge. Because remember, if we're kind of saying this is red, remember, actually it's on this side. This is red, right? This is green, this is halfway here, or violet. We're going to use our yellow. We're going to use our yellow, and then we're going to use our violet as our halfway more. All right? So if we go yellow, orange, red, yellow, orange, red, violet, blue, green. Okay, and this is yellow. The dot right there is yellow, orange, red, violet, blue, green. So, if we travel this path and we say, hey, we're going to take this route here, right? We know that our violet is halfway out there, 180. And so our, remember, we're traveling the path that here's red, here's blue, here's yellow, here's violet. So this is orange, this is red at the 45 degree, or no, the 945, or the yellow is the base, the violet is 180, all right? The red would be the 90, okay. The orange is 45, red is 90, all right? So our violet is 180. Our whole over our, so we know our blue, that's what it is. Our blue is at what is that, 180 plus 90 is 270. Yeah, 270, all right? 270 is our third of the way mark, all right? And that's our equal distance from our end, okay? So, right there, we can always apply our, if you're trying to complete a distance, you know where you're at right there by the next color you're hitting, right? So, in your range of saying, okay, I'm using my violet, which is, here's my yellow, so therefore my violet's right there, all right? So I gotta have my range of this violet right here going this way, because I went this way and that way, right? Now, what if I said my violet was right there? Okay? So my violet to violet has to be bam. Okay? So, when you grind through those equations, these can all spin and spiral in everything which way it wants, right? As long as this violet's touching, it's spinning, it's going this way, because this can spin this way, right? and do spin 360 degrees around on this plane, right? And then it can tilt one angle, still be on it, but on a different plane, and spin 360 degrees. Alright? And then if I try to keep going more, it won't. I'll pop off. So I know that's not going to work. So if I tilt its blah 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 its axis this way and basically change its orientation to a primary, right? That's basically what we're doing. Remember, our connection is our violet, our ultraviolet is what we're after. And so what we just did was change the connection to the primary. So you see, like right here, I have all this room. Like right here, I can spin 360 degrees. I can go one plane, spin 360 degrees. This plane, spin 360 degrees. This plane, spin 360 degrees. Alright? And then I can do it right here, all the way like this. And I can spin 360 degrees like that, and keep coming up this plane and down this plane, alright? But once I'm over here on this plane, I can't hit a certain angle anymore, because then I pop off from being violet to violet. Alright? Because bam, even though I'm spinning 360, my violets are not connecting. Okay? And that right there is saying, this is the field right here of my violet that I can access and be like structurally sound or structurally engineered or mathematically hold its mathematical bond or mathematical formula. Alright? And I want to get an outcome similar to this without using any of this. So I'm going to need to use this, alright? And with all these presets of where everything is, I'm going to say here and apply it to every angle I can of whatever to see where it's going to stick and hold and be this violet, alright? Even though this violet's parameters and coordinates and everything put its violet right here, its base home line violet of I'm violet, and I am actually from this angle to this angle, or from this point to this point, this primary to this primary, I'm right here. Alright? Bam. Right here. And this right here can be your red, this could be your red, this could be your red. This is still violet, alright? You can have your yellow here, okay? You can have your blue here, alright? Now think about that. Your yellow is right here, your violet's right here, your blue's right here, okay? To make violet, most people think you have the blue and the red. But this could be all switched and off here, and all you need to do is just get a violet right here. And sometimes these outer parameters of whatever, yes, I can't go beyond them. That's exactly how they exist. That's how you figure things out and say, hey, look here. I can take this constraints, this parameter, this definition, and I can facilitate this entire different activity and relative reality of doing whatever, facilitated by having something exist on its same frequency, balance, level, color, vibration, of saying, booyah, look at this. This is violet to violet, and it still holds. And this violet right here can span every which way and be violet in all these different angles, parameters, constraints, and access points that still hold to a definition of violet. So this violet could do all these different things, alright? And this violet right here can still do all these different things, all the way which, you know, spin like this, here at this angle, and then go all the way to these angles, oops, spilled on me, and spin, alright? But it can't go past this angle and spin because it's not holding its violet, alright? But at this angle, it can still spin, alright? And if you go up here, get the last of it, you can't go past that angle because it's no longer connecting its violet, and it can no longer still spin, you know? So you can have all this violet in its natural habitat, start doing all these other things as long as it's connecting to this other violet that is actually only violet by connection to another violet. that is producing a freedom of activity without the constraints of saying, this is my coordinates of violet, but even though this is my coordinates of violet, I'm not held to being these coordinates. I can put in this other violet, and now I have these activities of violet all at these angles and these parameters. As long as I stay right over here, these violets can produce all this activity and this mathematical facilitation of reality based on this connection right there that are their same color, their same formula of balance and mathematical balance, however you're applying to it, even in sound. Because notice how we were going off of color, such as infrared and ultraviolet, right? Same with infrasound and ultrasound. We hear on certain decibels. For easier understanding, we call it decibels. We call it stuff like that. But we can also give it its infra whatever and say, oh, this sound level, we're applying this color. And we're only applying that color to it because we're saying this frequency to this frequency. Just like we said, okay, we can see in this spectrum of light, and it falls under this frequency of blah, 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 because that's what our eyes are seeing right there. And we're saying way out here is the infrared, and way over here is ultraviolet, you know? And we don't see in either one of those, okay? And right there we're saying we're seeing in this balance of whatever, but if it was like, oh, we're seeing this primary, okay, and these other two primaries that are there, they're actually on that side. So if we're like saying, okay, we're seeing right here in the positive refractory, and in the spectrum of light of what we're seeing, the majority of it is actually over here in the negative. It has more equations placed to it, and that is the negative refractory. So that is a facilitation of the Kinney color spiral to facilitate, well, hey, if I want any aspects such as sound, if I want to produce sound, I have to find its frequency in this, this, and this. And if I say, well, this is decibel, and this is an activity of this constraint, this parameter, if I can facilitate that same thing on any other level, and I measure all the levels that are there and apply every formula that I can, then therefore I will find a pattern that I can put into the Kinney color spiral and facilitate a mathematical equation that produces the same outcome without the same equation, while still having the parameters and activities and thing that says, hey, this is violet, right? Because this requires violet. If you want a sound and say, well, this is sound, okay? Right here is the sound, because in our hearing, we hear this frequency, all right? We're saying this is the frequency, this is the range, all right? So what we're hearing only goes on from this area here and the here to here, right? We don't go above or below that. We're only right here in this section of sound, all right? This frequency, or it could be this frequency or this range, right? Because we're over here in this color, okay? So think about that. There's another side of this, because we can say this is red, this is green, 180, all right? And we're hearing on this green, whatever, 180 here, but over here, the other side of that is the, what's that again? Red, blue, yellow. We're going to say this is the blue, all right? And we're in this blue frequency, okay? And sometimes you could be off and think that you're in the yellow frequency, and you're actually behind something, right? So remember the oscillator, where it goes like this? That's spiraling like that. So our spiraling, all right, because that's what that's doing, but you're only getting one pattern from it, and so that's why it looks like it's going like that, and that wave and frequency and all that. So with the Kinney color spiral, you can figure all that out easily and find out the mathematical equations. So with all that said, you what do you call that? I jumped around a lot, and I don't want to throw it out there without making